Hello friends and acolytes of the Force, and welcome back to our archives. You've come at the perfect time. Our researchers were just reviewing some old recent holocrons and tapes about some of the most powerful Force wielders of recent eras. In terms of the Force potential, plays a huge role in how a Force wielder progresses. One can be born barely meeting the minimum requirement for Force sensitivity, and still train themselves into being an exceptional Jedi. Take Obi-Wan Kenobi for instance, a Jedi whose entire Padawan life was rife with struggles, and struggles that continued even into his knighthood. However, Obi-Wan put his nose to the grind and worked harder than anyone else, and when he achieved the rank of Master, he was also elected to be on the Jedi High Council. With that said though, there is the opposite, and those that are born with extremely high midichlorian counts, which doesn't necessarily mean they're automatically more powerful, but that they have a higher power cap and learning the Force may come easier to them. Such beings are those like Grandmaster Yoda, Mace Windu, and Darth Sidious. Each of these beings reached the full potential of what they were given, and in some cases, even went beyond it. However, one thing that we have begun noticing as a pattern is that there were many Force wielders who held great Force potential and power, but for one reason or another, were unable to achieve their full potential. We thought these beings ought to be mentioned in some way or another, so the clear answer was to make a list for all of you to discuss and deliberate amongst yourselves in the comments down below. But before we dive into our analysis, some of the Holocron Guardians have let us know that many of the students studying from them have not yet subscribed to our channel. The archives are ever growing, and you'll want to stay up to date and learn as much as you can of the mysteries of the Force and the galaxy that surrounds you, so be sure to reach out and Force crush that subscribe button. Now, let us begin. The first character that we must mention immediately is of course Anakin Skywalker. Arguably one of the most tragic on this list, Anakin was born as the prophesied Chosen One, destined to bring balance to the Force and save the Jedi Order and the galaxy from themselves. Despite being born with a midichlorian count upwards of 35,000 to 40,000, or maybe even higher, Anakin only ever received the slightest taste of what true power he could have achieved. On Martynas, Anakin connected to the Force Nexus in the planet and managed to feel what his destiny truly meant. Using the Force, he turned day to night on the world and dominated the son and the daughter with his power. This puts him on the level on, or perhaps even higher than the ones themselves, at least for this brief moment. It is explained by the father that he could only do this on Martynas until he learned the perfect balance of the Force. The next time he would reach such levels of power would be during his transformation as Darth Vader, when storming the Jedi Temple. None of the masters there even held a candle to Vader's power and connection to the dark side. Each stroke of his lightsaber carried the weight of a starship behind it, and he battered down even the best Jedi duelists, including even the Jedi Battlemaster Sindralig and his young Padawan. Despite Anakin being fully enveloped in the dark side, the only master he couldn't defeat was his own. Obi-Wan just knew Anakin far too well through all of their years of training and fighting alongside one another, not to mention the styles that they each use clashed with the opposite. Anakin's Gem So couldn't tear through Obi-Wan's Sarisu, and their battle just kept going on. Finally at the beach, Obi-Wan would dismember Vader by pulling off a triple Mo-Ki, slashing off his arms and legs in one smooth stroke. Although this did cut down his midichlorians quite a bit, the real damage happened from the burning, forever capping the Chosen One at 80% of the Emperor's potential. I think this is incredibly tragic, as you have to think about this for a moment. The Chosen One was prophesied for generations to come and bring balance, and despite being born with the potential to become the most powerful Jedi or Sith in galactic history, it was all cut short in one duel. The next one we want to discuss is Savage Opress. We recently did a video speculating the power of Savage in the Clone Wars. We talked about how the ritual with Mother Talzin had basically reached deep inside him and brought out all of his dormant Force potential, and all of this reaching the surface. And in the Force, he was able to contend with Jedi Masters and even killed a couple of them. At one point, he managed to even kill a Jedi Master and apprentice without the use of a lightsaber, using only an alchemical infused metal weapon. Considering the time frame here, we can reasonably assume that it had only taken a few months between Savage's creation and his death. In this short amount of time, Savage managed to gain an admirable amount of control over the dark side, and he managed to have a decent amount of saber skills as well. Had he not been killed by Sidious, I imagine he would continue to rapidly improve, pushing his boundaries until he was truly unstoppable. Though I must say, as far as intelligence goes, I'm not confident how far Savage could manage without someone like Maul to give him guidance. Speaking of Maul, Maul is indeed next on our list. It isn't difficult to see what Maul could have easily become, and seeing that he was one of the most powerful Sith Lords and could have become one of all time if only given the chance. Though perhaps Sidious would never have given him that chance and kept him down as a Sith assassin. Maul having his lower half bisected caused a massive drop off in his midichlorian counts, perhaps relatively even or even more so than Vader. Losing half of one's body would have great consequences in the realm of the Force, and Maul most likely figured that out. Maul was naturally very strong even without his legs, and managed to cause Obi-Wan a lot of trouble. For a moment, his rage and power in the dark side was enough to keep up with even Darth Sidious, if not for just a few moments. Maul was a master at the ability of Force Valor, and internalized his Force potential so well that he became more than superhuman, to the point that his skill even impressed the likes of Darth Plagueis, a man who rarely even respected saber combat to begin with. After his legs were replaced, it is clear that there was quite a bit of growing he still needed to do after the fact. We see him struggling with a few challenges, especially against Hondo and his pirates, when the pirates managed to land several blaster shots at his robotic legs. This was all in the early stages of Maul's return, and he soon got his skill back enough to defeat Pre Vizsla, one-on-one, claiming the Darksaber as well as rulership of Mandalore. I think Maul's potential lied in his leadership and how well he managed to combine the efforts of the Pikes, the Black Sun Syndicate, and the Death Watch under his control. The dismantling of his criminal empire is explored in the Son of Dathomir comics, which I highly recommend you read. Anyway, moving on. With all of this being said, I think that one of the most egregious offenders of being unable to reach their full potential would be none other than Leia Organa. Or for this particular video, I believe it's appropriate to refer to her as Leia Skywalker. Unlike the aforementioned candidates, Leia was not horribly dismembered or killed prematurely. Arguably even more tragic, Leia just simply never got the chance to fully learn the Force like Luke did. In canon, Leia walked away from the Jediism after receiving her troubling vision of her son. In the Legends EU, Leia did learn quite a bit about the Force from Luke after Return of the Jedi. However, she was never able to fully devote herself like Luke did. After the Battle of Endor, she was far too busy trying to set up the New Republic. After all, Leia was still Princess of Alderaan, whether Alderaan existed or not. She was instrumental in the rebellion, and basically took Bail Organa's place. And this was even before she became pregnant. In Legends, with her twins, Leia managed to train up a little bit more, but it wouldn't be much later when Palpatine made his return. During his return, she would actually be an exceedingly powerful Jedi. During that time, Leia had become a fairly decent duelist, able to hold her own against a very powerful Dark Jedi, Belderin the Hutt. She even aided Luke against the newly risen Emperor by providing him with a special kind of battle meditation. However, it is known that both twins received the potential of the Chosen One, and it's clear to anyone looking in at Leia that she never really got as powerful as that of Grandmaster Luke Skywalker. But tell us, friends, what did you think of our list? Do you agree with it? More importantly, what other powerful Force users do you think got shafted out of their potential? Let us know in the comments down below. And as always, my friends, may the Force be with you.